What are some things that you kind of do in the morning? I know you said kind of have time for yourself, but what are some things you would do in particular?
I show up on my mat. I do. I mean, it's an appointment that I make every day, like show up on your mat. And some days my time on my mat is still. It's meditation. Some days my time on my mat is restorative. I may do 1 or 2 poses in 30 minutes, and I could fall asleep in them when I'm in them. And some of the days I wake up and I'm full of energy, and I feel like I need to do a short power session or do something to increase. If I'm feeling like I have too much kapha energy, maybe I need to do something more to increase the pitta energy. So, yeah, I show up on my mat.
That's awesome. I think that could be the name of a blog itself. I show up on my mat, but just showing up. I think that's the answer to a lot of people's questions. And
but it's also like I was saying earlier, it's showing up for myself. Like I hold myself accountable to take care of myself.
Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the Tiffany Wilburn series. Really enjoyed this episode with Tiffany. The quote you just heard, I really like what she said, show up on your mat. I think it's something that is a huge lesson for myself and for a lot of people when it comes to the importance of living your truth and showing up and understanding that the decisions that you make to improve and to be healthy and to be mindful of the things you consume in terms of energy and food and everything else, it's on you. And I really like her quote. Every morning she says, I show up on my mat. And I think that's something that everyone can learn from and a lot of people should appreciate. Really enjoyed this episode. Once again, this is episode 2 with Tiffany Wilburn. In this episode, she also talks about being an entrepreneur and an introvert. She talks about her belief on why plants heal. She talks about some of the specific ingredients within her aromatherapy and skincare product line, some of the benefits of the ingredients she uses. She talks about her time as an exchange student in Normandy and some of her goals for her business, as well as her upcoming events and things that she has going on to close the show. Enjoy. Hello, this is Gary Martin here with
Tiffany Wilburn.
And this is episode 2 of the Tiffany series on Sirculate.com. So, Tiffany, one of the things that I forgot to ask you last time is that, so when I send out the survey for people who are going to be on Sirculate as a host, I asked them to do 16 personalities. And so far, most of the people who do the survey are, well, not most of the people, but they've been mostly extroverted instead of introverted. But when I looked at your 16 personalities, you were 85% introverted, which is pretty opposite of what people might think for someone who has the guts to start your own business and take that leap. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit more on how you're introverted, but you were able to still kind of just go after it?
Yeah, I am an introvert. I charge my batteries by being alone. Like I do. I have always done that since I was a kid. It really did make it more difficult, I think, to start my own business because I had to get out of my head and think about, okay, I am truly in service of someone else, and I have to think, what do they need, and talk with them and engage with them in ways that that's just not my norm. So, yeah.
So it was basically beyond, like you talked about last episode, where it's like you couldn't sleep because it was something that you had to do. It was also thinking about, it's not about being introverted, it's about doing something for others.
Yeah.
That kind of pushed you into action.
Yeah, because I had such a passion for the topic of wellness in general, it overtook any feelings I may have had about, wanting to just keep it to myself.
Exactly.
I think yoga is a really interesting wellness practice that allows introverts to stay introverted because, a lot of times when we start asana series, yoga instructors will say, your focus is on your mat. Your universe is your mat. And you, even if you're in a room full of 50 people, you are only worried about your practice. It is your time. It is your reconnect. And so for 15 years, that's what I did. And that's why I loved yoga. If I wasn't doing yoga on my mat, whether I was by myself or in a room with 50 people, I was outdoor running, running trails in the woods and doing things like that. But either way, I still felt like I was recharging my battery.
That's awesome. One of the reasons why I kind of started, or the influence to start of Sirculate, and one of the philosophies was Stoicism. Mm-hmm. And Stoicism is a philosophy that is rooted in the idea that you kind of see the serenity prayer. God is grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
And that takes you back to that idea of like, I can only control myself, which is funny hearing you say that because something that took me a while to like finally embrace, and it sounds similar to what your practice and how you properly practice yoga is doing that same thing, kind of taking that inner mental approach to everything you're doing.
Yep.
So one of the things you talked about as well during the survey is you would name a blog Why Plants Heal.
Yeah, Why Plants Heal.
So can you talk, I know you have a plant-based diet, but can you just talk about, your affinity to plants?
I like plants more than I do people.
Clearly introvert.
I just have always had this interesting connection to nature. Ever since I was a kid, I recharge by being outdoors, recharge by being more connected to something that I feel like is full of life. And so when I was probably, I think, 13 or 14, I was an international exchange student in Normandy. I lived in the countryside, and I mean bumpkin countryside of France with a French family, and they had a very strong belief in consuming what they raised. And so everything that we ate came off of their farm, came off of their land for the most part, or if they didn't have it, they were bartering with the neighbors next door to, procure whatever it was that they felt that we needed. And it just gave me such an appreciation for food and mindfulness, like mindfully consuming, whether that be food or products. And so when I came back to the States, I went back and forth to France and stayed with them all the way through graduation. Like they were just an extension of my family. When I came back to the States and I was in college, that had stuck with me, that mindful consumption principle. And on the practical, functional side, the food that I was consuming when I got back here just did not taste the same. I mean, a chicken isn't just a chicken. It doesn't taste the same, a conventionally raised chicken versus something that is raised on your farm and is fed a proper diet. So its body has more nutrients in it and has a different flavor profile altogether. So on the functional side, I just didn't like the food. It just didn't taste good. It didn't have the same texture. But then on the mindful side, I didn't feel connected to it. I was like, I don't even know where this came from. I don't know how I should feel about this. I feel like I'm just mindlessly consuming something. And so it was for that reason that I gave up consuming animal-based products when I was probably around 16. And I went through all of my food varieties. I was vegan for a while, I was vegetarian, I was pescatarian, and then I got to a point where I just decided I don't want to subscribe to any particular food religion. Like, I don't say I am a blah, blah, blah. Like, I follow a plant-based diet at this point. I consume the majority of the calories that I consume or the nutrients that I consume come from a plant. And I attempt to have as mindful of a consumption experience as I possibly can in terms of knowing the producers of my food, or having some sort of connection to it, because to me, one of the most humane things that you can do is ethically choose either food or non-consumables that you're going to support.
Mm-hmm. So then if you take that plant-based diet and you bring it over to why plants heal,
yeah,
what would you say to that?
I mean, I should get like a tattoo. It's like plants are the new black. Plants, everything. I think cultures around the world have known for centuries the healing property that plants have, whether they have been used for medicinal purposes or, perfuming ourselves, the Egyptians perfuming themselves, African warrior princesses using certain plants to heal ailments in their cultures and tribes. I mean, plants are the beginning. Plants were here before we were. So in my mind, whether it's the plants being used to heal internally or mentally or topically, they have enormous power and potential.
So what are some things you do to heal? Like on Instagram, I saw you burning something.
Oh, Palo Santo, sage. Yeah.
What is that? What is the purpose of?
It's cleansing energy. It is cleansing energy in space or cleansing energy from an individual. I think at this point most people would shake their head and nod in agreement that energy is not destroyed, it's simply transferred. Mm-hmm. And so when you have negative energy coming into your space, I like to cleanse it and remove as much of it as I possibly can and take a moment to breathe deeply so that I'm eliminating all of that negativity from myself, but also my surrounding.
So how do you do? Do you just burn the sage and walk around the house? Or
well,
what do you do?
The Palo Santo is a hardwood. It's a plant, so it's a hardwood material, and it doesn't actually burn. It's really cool. It almost smolders. So when it catches, I don't want to even say catches fire, but when it is burnt, it turns into like a smoldering amber, and it kicks off smoke.
To continue on the topic of plants, I'm in your home, and it's a lot of natural light, and it's covered with plants. So can you just talk about why you do that?
Yeah, well, we live in Northeast Ohio, which we do not have the opportunity to have our windows open as much as I would like, to have natural fresh air in the house. And so I have a lot of plants in my house to purify the air inside. That's what plants are meant to do. They're meant to take the toxins out of the air. They're nature's filter, air filter, if you will. So I like to adorn my home with natural air filters. And they're pretty.
Yeah, they do. They look great. And they're all lively.
Yeah.
I have a couple plants at home, and there's a couple brown spots here and there.
That's okay.
I recently killed a jade plant because I overwatered it.
Oh.
So got to take some plant tips from you.
Yeah.
Now, can you talk a little bit more about the plants you use in your products and why?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a question some people might have out there.
Yep. So in the healing balm, it's a heavier product, so it is extremely concentrated. But I use a fair trade grade A organic shea butter and mango butter or mango nutseed butter as my base, and then there's a few other things in there. But I use those two in particular because they have a lot of natural vitamin A and K and E, which are very healing and soothing to the skin. So if you have eczema or psoriasis or just typical seasonal dry skin, those are really, really fatty nut butters to put on the body. Mm-hmm. And then inside of those as well, I use a coconut oil, an organic coconut oil, and I love coconut oil, and I think I probably helped fuel the coconut frenzy, over the last 5 years or so. But I love it because you don't have to really do anything to it to make it amazing. Like, it's just an awesome rich, and it can be so many different things. It can be a solid, it can be a liquid. You can cook with it, you can put it on your body. I mean, it's a really all-inclusive, awesome nut oil. And then in terms of the aromatherapy components that go inside of my products, I love eucalyptus because it's not only does it help clear your sinuses, and it's a down-regulating or parasympathetic scent, but it is a very approachable, it's soft, and it's subtle, and so I really love it for that reason. The jasmine I really love because it is, it's a soft floral scent that has the ability really to very quickly relax the mind into a deep, deep state. And it's one of my favorites. It's just one of the ones I love. And then on the prosperity side, the rosemary is one of the very first scents that I started to play with, or plants that I started to play with. And a lot of the things that I put in my products, I really wanted to make sure that I could grow them. I could grow eucalyptus, I can grow jasmine, rosemary, those types of things. And so I really wanted to stay close to things that I could touch. And rosemary was one of the first plants that I started to play with because, you literally can rub rosemary petals or the thorny parts of the leaf, and you can pick up the oil. You can smell the rosemary. And rosemary is awesome because it helps reduce headaches if you have chronic migraines or anything like that, especially related to blood pressure. Rosemary is awesome. So I immediately knew I had to do something with rosemary. And then Prosperity also has clary sage, which is an awesome hormonal balancing plant. And, everybody, I think we all don't understand all of the different chemical and toxins that are either put in our bodies or we put on our bodies that screw up our hormones. They're hormone disruptors. A lot of times they're in cleaning products, or they can even be in clothing or your bedding. So clary sage is awesome because it's a natural way to start to rebalance your hormones. And then the other grounding scents that I really love that I always try to put into Prosperity would be something like cedar wood or fir, which again, I'm a geek running in the woods, so I have to be able to smell like a tree to some extent. So
you said cedar wood and
fir.
What is that?
Fir is like a fir tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's an evergreen.
How much I know about plant-based anything.
It's okay.
I have to learn more. So you wrote down Feel, Heal, and Reveal, Igniting Your Best Self.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I do a quarterly wellness accelerator with my clients where we focused on first identifying what they're feeling. So it's using voice, it's using meditation, and a few other different healing modalities to determine what are you truly feeling? Are you on the surface feeling scared, but inside you're actually feeling self-doubt? Or, on the surface, do you feel happy, but inside it's actually anxiety? So we first work on, identifying what you truly feel, and then we move into heal. Once we've identified the topic at hand, how can we address it and heal it or rebalance it? Thereafter, we get into reveal, because once you've identified balanced or rebalanced, then you can reveal a new sense of self, whether that be, a new outlook on your abilities or a new outlook on your ambitions. But, I think a lot of times we wait to reveal our best self until somebody else asks us for it. I truly believe you should show up for you, the best version of you every day.
That's awesome. Now, how does you said this is quarterly, right?
Yeah.
And how did someone go about
signing up? Yeah. So what is this? March? Yeah. So I'm just wrapping up the March Wellness Accelerator here shortly, but you can reach out to me on my website, livinglightly.lifestyle.com, anytime, and I can put you on the waiting list, and I will let you know when the next class is being put together.
I'm mad I missed out. I want to try this.
Yeah.
Check it out. So what are some other things you have coming up along those same lines?
Yeah, so my full calendar is always available on my website under the events section on livinglightly.lifestyle.com. But in May and in June, I have 2 shows in Columbus, which I'm really excited about. The Ohio Made Spring Market, and that is on May 4th and 5th. And then in June, I'll be participating with the Ohio Explored Summer Market, which I'm really looking forward to as well. Both of those shows are an opportunity for folks to come out and test a seed product, shop a seed as well as other local vendors, and talk with me more about, what your wellness goals are and how we might put something together to work with you individually. In terms of group workshops, I have a workshop coming up on June 16th at Agni Yoga Studio in Mayfield Heights, and that is a surrender to yourself workshop. So regardless if you're a master yogi or just starting your practice, this is a great workshop for anybody to start out. And then all through June until October, I'll be participating with the Kent Flea, as well as the Hudson Flea, or the previously known as Hudson Flea. It's now Wild Roots Arts Market. And then in August, I'll be doing, in Cleveland as well, I'll be doing a Kundalini workshop, which is amazing. If you've never tried Kundalini yoga, I definitely recommend you come out for that. I usually only do a Kundalini workshop in a group setting once or twice a year. But if you have a passion for Kundalini, we can always work that into your one-on-one practice. But that session is August 16th.
What is Kundalini?
Kundalini. So Kundalini is a real, it's a specific kind of yoga, but it is a uplifting blend of secular spirituality and physical asana. So it's meant to awaken latent energy that is thought to exist at the base of the spine. So a lot of the movements in Kundalini are circular movements, and you are essentially uncoiling the energy that exists in the base of your spine up through the spine and out through the top of the crown, which it correlates with indigo or true enlightenment. So if anybody's interested in coming out and trying that, I think we always have a packed house, and I do limit how many folks can participate. So I always recommend signing up early, because day of registrations never really work out with that one. And then, so the last group workshop that I have is in November, and that's again here in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's a breath workshop, so it's breath of life. So if you really want to learn how to breathe deeper, I think that's one thing a lot of people hear, take a deep breath, breathe deeper, you're holding your breath, but there's actual strategy to breathing deeper. And so that's what we're going to talk about. It's really more about improving your cardiovascular capabilities, but also meant to be used as a way to reduce stress or just simply get a better night's rest.
That's one thing as you know, I've been using the Headspace app, and that's one thing that I wish that I was better at, where sometimes I'm like frustrated that I don't feel comfortable all the time in the way that I'm breathing. And I know they say don't worry about if you're breathing right or not, but it's still something I want to
That's the type A, those type A folks. There is a wrong way to breathe. I mean, kind of, but not really.
Right. So you are busy through the rest of the year. You have a packed schedule. That's nice to see.
Yes.
So what are some things Your business sounds like it's rolling. It's well on its way.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other goals you have for your business? Let's say this year coming up, or beyond.
Well, for living lightly, I think it was a huge goal for me last year to launch a seed, which I'm very proud of. This year, my goal is to increase the awareness of the brand. I think it is an amazing product that a lot of people have already benefited from, and I know a lot more could benefit from. So that's a real goal for me. It's just letting more people know that this exists and that it's accessible to them. Additionally, on the yoga side of things, or the wellness side of things, I'm really trying hard to find a permanent location to house all of the workshops, seminars, classes, and receive clients. So I'm pushing hard. I've been looking at spaces, and I'm really excited because I think it's right on the tips of my fingers, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. I mean, hopefully, that happens soon, and you can continue to grow your business. But it sounds like you're well on your way. What are some resources that you use, that specific resources that you use that kind of helps you with your busy schedule and stay organized?
Yeah, I have a lot, but the ones that are my go-to are Evernote, and I use Evernote simply because it automatically syncs anything that I'm making notes on my phone to the Evernote desktop application on my computer. So it's seamless. I don't have to, I have to remember to, transcribe my notes here or here. So I do appreciate that. I also very much leverage Canva. It's been a blessing because it is a non-traditional, air quote, artist's way of, packaging a message in a palatable manner. So very quickly. So I do appreciate that.
I use Canva as well. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. And the other resource I would say is time. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and he was talking about being more strategic with your time. And I always thought I was strategic with my time, but I didn't realize how much time I was giving back to the universe and not actually doing something with it until I started waking up an hour earlier every morning. And it wasn't, wake up an hour earlier to get something done. It was, wake up an hour earlier to have just an hour to sit with your thoughts and think about what do you want to accomplish today, and what are you most passionate about, and what are you most grateful for. And it gives me a chance to mindfully construct the strategy of my day before I just start doing stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's been really, really helpful.
It's funny you say that. So one of the things that's helped me, I got it from Tim Ferriss, I believe, and it's called he calls it Winning the Morning. Mm-hmm. And Byron and I have made fun of, or kind of joke around about doing this, but we wake up at 5:30 and we call each other sometimes. It's like, yo, are you winning in the morning? Right, And but one of the things I do in the morning is because I really believe in morning routines. Mm-hmm. So I have these two journals, and I do the same thing. So one is called the 5-minute journal.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of it. So in the morning, there's a few questions that you write about, and there's dates in it, and it's you write down a few things. One is I am grateful for, and you write 3 things. What would make today great, and you write down 3 things. Daily affirmations, I am, and then in the evening you write 3 amazing things that happened today, and how could I make today even better?
I love that.
What are some things, I guess, you yourself, if you could kind of, if you do something different, what are some things that you kind of do in the morning? I know you said kind of have time for yourself, but what are some things you would do in particular?
I show up on my mat. I do. I mean, it's an appointment that I make every day, like show up on your mat. And some days my time on my mat is still. It's meditation. Some days my time on my mat is restorative. I may do 1 or 2 poses in 30 minutes, and I could fall asleep in them when I'm in them. On some of the days I wake up and I'm full of energy and I feel like I need to do a short power session or do something to increase, if I'm feeling like I have too much kapha energy, maybe I need to do something more to increase the pitta energy. So yeah, I show up on my mat.
That's awesome. I think that could be the name of a blog itself. I show up on my mat, but just showing up. I think that's the answer to a lot of people's questions. But
it's also like I was saying earlier, it's showing up for myself. Like I hold myself accountable to take care of myself.
Man, that's awesome. So guys, thanks for coming to listen to episode 2 with Tiffany, and stay tuned for more episodes. And this is another episode of Sirculate with Tiffany. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to share the show on all your social media accounts and websites, or email friends or any family that you know that might be interested in the story. Please also go to YouTube, iTunes, and other places and subscribe to the show. That would be a big help and helps us get the word out as well. Some other ways you can support the show is by signing up for a Patreon account that supports the show directly. If you go to patreon.com/Sirculate, there's also a support under the support tab on our website. It'll direct you to the Patreon account. Also, there's a PayPal account that people can make one-time donations. And also on our website, there's a apparel that you can purchase under the shop tab. And in general, I just hope you keep coming back and keep listening. Thank you. See you soon.